welcome everybody. Here we are at the Phillip Island Penguin Parade, and the penguins are bright and early for us today. Really having a lot of fun already. So I don't believe they've crossed, but they've been in and out of the water for the last couple of minutes. So we've decided just to go right into it tonight. So hello, my name is Ranger Viv, and I will be taking you through our gorgeous little penguins journey here tonight. And with us, I have Ranger Rach. Come on in and tell us what you'll be doing tonight.
Thank you, Viv. Hi everyone, I'm Rachel, and I will be monitoring your comments tonight on Facebook and YouTube. So please pop them in. I will pass them on to Vivian tonight as well. And if you're wondering, yesterday the penguin came home at 6:25, and I'll give you a few minutes to pop in your guesses at how many penguins came home yesterday.
Thanks so much, Rach. So yes, at least 10 minutes early tonight, and that is because of this big, dark, beautiful clouds that we've got going overhead. That's right, I won't take you away from the penguins for long because they're too cute, and because it is a bit lighter, we can see them really well. And we've also got the high tide, which makes them way more comfortable coming in just that little bit earlier tonight. Before we get too in depth about, nope, they have changed their mind. They are out of here. Look at all their little footprints, Rachel. They're so cute. So we are streaming to you live from Phillip Island, which is also known as Malau, and that was the name given to it by the Bunurong people thousands and thousands of years ago. The Bunurong are the traditional landowners of Phillip Island and much of Bass Coast, going up towards Melbourne as well. And so I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that it is their land that we are able to view these gorgeous creatures from tonight. I would also like to thank you guys all again for coming and joining us and watching us tonight. Without you, we wouldn't be able to keep running this parade. And I know for myself personally, and I'm sure Rach will agree, that it is nice to do kind of our usual job when we can't have you guys with us every night viewing the penguins. So if you guys weren't watching, we'd be stuck at home too, and we wouldn't be having anywhere near as much fun. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's see. These penguins are really unsure, and that's a really big raft to start with as well. It really doesn't want to focus. I'm just trying to see if there's any more coming. No, not yet. So these penguins are the world's smallest species of penguin. They sit at only about 33 centimeters tall, which is about that, or a foot for any of you guys who are coming from overseas and aren't as familiar with our system. And they are the only penguins with blue and white feathers, not black and white. And so you can kind of see every now and again that, oh, actually they do look quite blue and not black. And that is a way that they've overcome evolution to avoid being eaten. So being such a small penguin, they're easily taken by predators as a food source, and being blue instead of black will help them blend into the ocean a lot better, and it's going to make it a lot harder for any predators to view them. And the predators are also why they've come in at this time as well. So their main predators are big birds of prey. So we've got eagles and hawks and Pacific gulls. So all these big birds who would love to eat a penguin if they got the chance. But the penguins, they're smart, very clever little dudes, and they have waited for it to get dark because that's when these birds of prey go to bed for the night. And they're also coming in this group because no bird of prey is going to try to take on this many penguins because they're going again. Look at him. You've got the ones at the front, the really brave ones who are like, no, I can make it home. And then these big old chickeny penguins at the back who are like, nope, I am out of here. So we've got split into two. Put in your guesses for this raft, and hopefully Rachel will get an answer from, I believe we've got Paul and John in there counting tonight. And we'll figure out how many came in this group, and then we can, there goes our white-faced heron, and he's just scared the rest of them off. We have got a white-faced heron or two that lives in the rocks just to the right of where these penguins are coming in. Or he doesn't live there, he spends the day there fishing, or every day. So every night around this time he leaves. But he usually leaves just before the penguins. But since the penguins were a bit early, he left a little bit late, and he's just given them a fright. And he's not a threat. He is, again, he's a white-faced heron, and they eat fish. There's no way he could take a penguin even if he tried. There's not a chance. But the penguins aren't going to look at the bird and go, no, that's a seagull, that's a heron, or that one will eat me. They're like, nope, bird, run, I am out of here, because it's just not worth the risk. That's a shame we don't have our pond, but looking at all the dark clouds, I guess we're going to get some rain, so maybe we'll have the pond back tomorrow, which would be nice because I love the pond. Now, I believe Rachel's got a number for us, so what was last night's number first?
Thank you, Viv. Last night, Ingrid play was really, really close. She guessed 1,129.
Yeah.
We had 1,038 yesterday night.
1,038, another massive night, which is brilliant. Okay, and what about that first group, Rach?
The first group was about 130.
113 or 30?
30.
130, fantastic. Did anyone get 130 in there? If you did,
Almost.
give yourself a big pat on the back, big clap, give yourself chocolate, whatever reward is going to make you feel better about that. I don't have anything to give you besides a little virtual clap. Yay, good job. All right. It is getting dark really quickly. These lights, this camera here is always a little bit cheeky and it makes it look like it's way brighter outside than it is. Whereas I can look out that window and I can go, it is pitch black, I can't see a thing. So it's very deceiving. Oh, look at them. They still don't know if they want to come in or not. All right, this is a really good start to the night as well. So we're definitely going to have another big night tonight. I think gone are those nights where we were getting only a couple hundred, or not a couple hundred, maybe 400 penguins a night. And that wasn't very fun. We want to see thousands. I want to see 4,000 penguins come in the stream. So maybe we can just keep the stream running all the time. You know, don't listen to me, guys. That is not my job. I do not get to make that decision, as much as I would love to say, yeah, we'll keep the stream running and we'll make sure we can run it during the breeding season. And no, that's not up to me. So we're going to have to beg other people if we want to see really big penguin numbers a little bit later on. Now, while these guys are waddling over the rocks tonight as well, I wanted to give a bit of a shout out to the Waddle Watchers. Over the last sort of week or so, I've been stalking the comments a little bit because I'm weird like that. And I've seen some just really heartwarming stuff on there, and I just wanted to acknowledge the really beautiful community that sort of developed from these streams. There was someone who mentioned that they had a bit of a tough day, and everyone immediately was just sending lovely messages to them, and then the next day they even checked up and went, you know, are you feeling better today? And I think that's lovely. And then I was a little bit sick and made Megan work on her days off, and everyone, again, the same thing, checking up on me, which is just lovely. And I think you guys should all feel really good about this little heartwarming community that you've developed because of these streams. And while we're on that, if anyone has any other lovely little shout outs that, not even Waddle Watchers, or anything nice that's happened to you over the last little bit, I think lockdown can use a little bit of a brighten up. For me, I had a couple of friends send me little presents, which was really nice to have just something little delivered as a bit of a, hey, I know you're having a bit of a hard time because, you know, things are hard right now. Here's a little thing to brighten your day. And it really did. So let us know, and Rachel will sure to enjoy reading some really nice comments through there, and we'll see what we come through. I know I'll read them out a little bit. We'll go through them later anyway. Let's follow these guys. Oh, Penguin Highway. Here we go. All right, hello. This camera shows how dark it is a lot more accurately. Look at them all go. We got some chunkies, we've got some clumsies, we've got some really clumsies who are walking into windows. What more can you want from a penguin? So if you have a look, these penguins have got their big, strong feet. So you can get a really good view of those feet from here. And these feet are how they dig their burrows. So these big, powerful feet are not used for swimming at all. Okay, well, they kind of use them to sort of direct their swimming just a little bit, but mostly these feet are used to dig their burrows. So penguins have a couple of different kinds of burrows. I'm going to go back to the other camera to show off those burrows. So they've got their natural burrows and their boxes. So we've got a box in here, and then under these bushes I'm sure we've got a burrow or two as well. So our penguins, beautifully lazy creatures, they love our boxes, because if there's a box there that no one lives in, they don't have to work very hard to make their home. It's there. It doesn't tend to collapse on itself because it is a box. So I'm trying to see if this is a burrow or not, but it doesn't want to focus. Is it a burrow or is it a shadow in the vegetation? I think that's a burrow. I don't know, Rach, does that look like a burrow to you?
It does.
You think? Yes, all right. And this is one of our natural burrows as well. So there's some poor penguin has decided that this spinach, which is the plant growing over the top here, which is a bush tucker, it is edible, and it's not as horrible as you'd think of a plant. If you just went and picked a wild plant, you'd think it'd be disgusting, but it's not. And this provides some insulation from the weather. It also provides some sort of, I've lost my train of words right then, but it makes it stronger. So if you just built a hole in the dirt, it's going to collapse if it rains or if it's too windy or if a wallaby jumps on it, it's going to break apart. Whereas the spinach really gives it some more structure. That is one of the words I was thinking of. Which is going to make it a lot less likely to collapse, which is why a lot of these burrows are really nice and camouflaged in amongst the vegetation for that structure and that insulation there. So if a penguin can't move into a box, their next choice is they're going to move into oh no, they're running back again. They're going to move into a burrow that is unoccupied. And if they move into either of those and then a penguin comes home and goes, excuse me, that is my home, get out, they'll have a little bit of a fight. And usually, by usually I mean like almost always, I don't have a number, so maybe I shouldn't go like 90% of the time. But like most of the time, the penguin who had owned the burrow, the more experienced penguin is going to win and get to keep their home. So as a last resort, the penguins will go and build their own burrow because that takes a whole lot more effort. I don't know about you guys, but I would much rather live in a home that's already been built than have to build my own home. Where are you going, dude? This camera really is being disagreeable with me tonight. All right, fine. All right, Rachel, do we have any questions or heartwarming stories?
We do have questions.
Yay.
One moment, please.
Oh, sorry. Rachel's busy concentrating.
We have Sarah Lombardo. I'm not 100% sure about the answer, but you may know,
Ooh,
Vivian.
okay.
Do we ever have twin penguins hatch from one egg?
Ooh, that is good question, Sarah. Do we ever have twin penguins hatch from one egg? I have no idea. Like, not even a little bit of a clue. That is definitely a question I will ask Megan or Jordan. Yeah. And then if we don't know, we can take it on further to Paula or Andre, penguin gurus there. But I feel like it would be hard because the penguin shell is always going to be that similar sort of size. It probably wouldn't fit 2 chicks in there. And then if it did, they would either be much smaller, so they would be too small to probably survive, or the parent wouldn't be able to lay an egg that big. That would be my educated guess. So I'd say that if it happened, it wouldn't be a viable egg, and something else would happen there. But I will have to ask around and come back to that one. Very good question. Thank you. Thank you. As we're getting into the breeding season, I'm hopefully, it won't be too long till we start being able to see chicks on the screen, because that'd be really lovely. Really bonus if we do have to continue extending all of the lockdowns that we're under. It'd be nice to at least be able to show you guys some more penguin babies. And as we talk about babies, I've got this shell gritter who was going through the worst possible moment to go get some little bits of shell, going through the crowd of penguins. So this penguin here, she's a mama penguin, and she is, somewhere within a couple of days, maybe 5 days away from laying an egg or 2 herself. So she is selflessly given up all of her calcium, not all of her calcium, that'd be crazy, given up calcium from her own body to the eggs, the shell from the eggs. And, there she is. And so she needs to restore that calcium levels. Why don't you go around? What is she doing? Like, there's a very clear path that she could go around. There is mostly a clear path, and she's just like, you know what, I'm going to go through the crowd here. I don't know what she's thinking. She's being very silly, and I've lost her through doing that now. That's all right. Look at these numbers. We're going to have a really good night tonight, I think.
Okay.
Now, while we're on
John
it, let's
just
go.
gave us that last raft. There was 375 in that last raft.
375 in that last draft. That's huge. That's amazing. Look at them all. Oh, they're so ridiculous. Well, what? All right, I told myself on the way here I wasn't gonna go looking for that penguin that you guys were laughing at with Megan the other night, but I am. I'm a dreadful liar. I can't help myself. But there was a penguin, and there he is. Oh dear. Oh, is that him? Or is that him? That is the question. But I've got a couple of penguins up here. So if you guys weren't watching the last couple of nights, we had a very randy male penguin. It's the nicest way to say these things. We had a very cheeky male penguin who was coming in, having some special cuddles with all the girls as she walked past. So penguins, little penguins at least, they are not monogamous, at least not in the way you'd usually get. They will stay together. They're sort of socially monogamous. So they will raise their chicks together. They'll usually stay together for a couple of years in a row, but they are not necessarily raising their own babies. So the babies in their egg might belong to another male, but the male will still raise them, because on their way home, male penguins and lady penguins, they will have a lot of little side hustles with a lot of little Mr. and Mrs. penguins on their way home. Gotta spread that DNA somewhere. And so what we had watched over the last couple of days was a very cheeky male penguin trying to get with a lot of girlfriends on their way home tonight. And most of them were like, I am too busy for this. I've got other things to do. But I wanted to see if he was still hanging around, or maybe his actual partner's gotten home and has given him a good talking to and told him to knock it off and leave them alone. But it doesn't seem like he wants to cooperate and let us have a look, but that's okay. I'm sure there are no shortage of penguins for us to have a look at tonight. So let's go back. Oh my god, they just keep coming. What I really want to do is I would really like to find another bandicoot on this stream, or a Rakali. I haven't seen a Rakali on the stream yet. I am very keen to have a look at what other wildlife wants to show off for me tonight. So if you see anything that isn't a penguin, let us know, and if we're lucky, we'll catch it and I'll be able to have a look. So Rachel will interrupt me and yell bandicoot if we see a bandicoot, won't you, Rachel?
Okay.
Because if you don't, I'll be very upset. Really upset. So the reason I'm thinking about these sort of things is this isn't from nature parks. It's not us, but there is a threatened species bake-off every year. I think this is the 7th or 8th year in a row, which the Threatened Species Commissioner sort of encourages, runs a bit of a competition to see what sort of baked goods you can make designed and shaped like threatened species. And so this year's theme is ecosystem engineers, And so an ecosystem engineer is an animal that sort of modifies the environment or improves the environment in a way that will help the ecosystem for everyone else. And so a very handy little ecosystem engineer is our little eastern barred bandicoot that we get to hang around with, because they are digging so often, like lots of little digging for little bugs, beetles, little crustaceans even. They are improving the soil, they are improving the oxygen levels, and improving lots of other minerals and stuff that is too complicated for me to fully understand. But I personally think if for this year's Threatened Species Bake Off, the Eastern Barred Bandicoot's got a really wide representation, I think that would be awesome. So I'm going to very hard attempt to make a bandicoot cake or something with my 3-year-old, so it cannot end well, but it'll be fun. So if anyone is interested in joining the Threatened Species Bake Off, highly recommend it. If you Google Threatened Species Bake Off, you'll be able to find all the info there, and it's basically you just upload a photo or email a photo. By September 8th is when that competition ends. It's just a really fun way to show your support and learn a bit more about different threatened species. Of course, if you want to make something that isn't bandicoot related, it's about a different ecological engineer, I will not hold that against you, I promise. As much as I love the bandicoots, I get it. Other people like other animals. What about you, Rach? What's your favourite animal?
I don't know. There's quite a few.
Quite a few.
Yeah,
oh,
and
Rachel.
I love the echidnas too.
Oh, Rachel loves the echidnas. Very cool. And the echidnas are an ecological engineer as well, because they do lots of digging too. So that's a very good choice. I don't know if they're threatened though. Maybe in some places. So. Yeah. But no, I've got a massive soft spot. Wow, I'm really struggling with my words tonight. Blah 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 blah. massive soft spot for the bandicoots, and that's just because I've been able to have a lot of fun hanging out with them through volunteering. Now, where are my penguins? There's none on the highway. There's a couple on the beach. What are you doing, mister?
Are you ready for another question?
Oh, yes, please.
Yay! We've got 5-year-old Bonnie. Where do penguins go in the day?
Oh, Bonnie, very good question. So, during the day, the penguins are out in the water. So they're out fishing. Oh, we've got more shell gritters on the highway. So this time of year, the penguins are probably out somewhere from a few days to maybe a week before they come home. So, and they spend that whole time out there swimming. So during the day, they're diving up and down all day, every day. So up to 1,000, maybe even some of them 1,500 times a day, just literally going up and down for fish. While they're out there, they will have little tiny power naps, and I mean tiny, like little 4-minute power naps, maybe 10, 15 times a day. And they'll do that by floating on the water surface just like this before they continue on fishing. Basically, during the night, they're not really sleeping. They're resting because they can't really do much fishing throughout the night because it's a lot harder to see fish in the water. But yeah, and then when they want to come home, that's when they come home. What are you doing, mister? I hope that fully explains your question. But basically, they're just fishing. They're looking for fish. They're finding fish. It's a little bit tricky. Where are you going, dude? And eating fish. That's just how they spend their time in the ocean, and then figuring out how to get home and then coming home. All right, let's go back to the highway. All right, you were cute for a little while, dude, but what are you doing? Oh, look at these chunky dudes on the highway. It's so funny how it's different every night. Like last night we just had so many big groups coming, and then tonight we've had a nice big break between the groups. So we might end up having a little bit less numbers than we have the previous nights, but we'll see what happens. Let's do a little close up onto you because you are just super cute. Look at this waddle. He's just so slow. We don't like to anthropomorphize animals too much because they're not human. They do not think the same way we do. They're not self-aware. He's just like, yes, I am. I'm very self-aware. What are you talking about? But the penguins definitely all have different behaviors on a scale. So some penguins are like, oh, bye-bye. They're just cross paths with the shell gritter. Some penguins are like on a mission to go home and they're going very, very quickly. And other penguins are just going very slow. And look at this. This is a beautiful view. You can just see how perfect and blue this penguin is. Oh, so they just have the most beautiful feathers. And these penguins' feathers are really interesting because they've got to have a lot of feathers. They've got at least 10,000 feathers each penguin. And they've got 2 rows of them. So they've got their little fluffy, cute, soft feathers underneath, like a big warm doona to keep them warm. And then they've got their shiny blue and white feathers over the top, which is like their raincoat. And so they use the oil, and you can see these 2 preening each other really nicely. So they spread the oil with their beak through their feathers, and they can't reach the feathers on their own sort of face and neck and stuff like that. So they help each other out, which is really nice, to spread that oil to keep them waterproof. So for a healthy penguin, they should never have water touch their skin. So that is why the chicks can't go out to the water until they're about sort of 8+ weeks of age, because at 8 weeks, that's when they've got all of their grown-up feathers and they're finally waterproof and safe to go out. Which is where one of the problems for us comes when we have those big heat waves. So as it is getting warmer, and that's definitely something we've noticed, the heat waves tend to come in. Oh, we got just a couple coming in. The heat waves tend to come in right at the breeding season or molting season, which is when they're the most vulnerable. So during the breeding season, they're young chicks, they've got their fluffy feathers, thanks Rach, and they're not waterproof. And during the molting season, the penguins take about 3 weeks off to replace all of their feathers. So again, they're not waterproof. So when it gets really hot, they're tempted to go have a little bit of a dip in the water, as we all are, but being not waterproof, it means it makes it a lot easier for them to drown because they're not streamlined either. So one of the projects that we're working on is working really hard to try to figure out new box designs. We're working with a PhD student recently to look at other artificial nest boxes that we can build that are going to keep it a little bit more insulated, so it's not going to get quite as hot when we have those heat waves. for now, we are working on encouraging the growth of vegetation on the boxes, as well as vegetation around the boxes to keep it a lot more cooler through those warmer warmer days, because it is just so hard for these guys when it does get hot. I know that myself, and I'm sure Rach did as well, we'd spent before our shift, so we'd go down to the beach and get things set up for guests to come join us, and there'd be some penguins sitting outside their boxes or with their head outside their boxes in broad daylight, looking a little bit stressed out. And so we'd all undertaken some training on how to deal with a heat stressed penguin, and for me, all the ones I saw, I just dunked some water on them, and they all perked up immediately and went back into their box. But I know there was some that had to be taken to the wildlife hospital that we do have on site. And the wildlife hospital is run by the Penguin Foundation, which is our the charity part of our non-for-profit organisation. So Penguin Foundation supports Phillip Island Nature Parks in most, I don't know if most is the right word, in so much of what we do, between our everyday conservation, research and education, as well as helping us run the wildlife hospital, which is open 24 hours. We've always got at least one ranger on every single night. Even now, when we've only got 4 people working here, we've got someone who's trained in wildlife first aid. So if there is an injured penguin, they can get taken to the hospital and looked after until our actual experts can come in. That is 3 shell gritters. That is brilliant. Still no bandicoots, which is disappointing. I don't know why I thought asking for a bandicoot was a good idea. I should know better than that by now, but you can always try. What's the definition of insanity? If you try the same thing over and over and expect different results, you're insane. Whoops. Rachel, yes. Next question. Let's ignore that.
We have Mitchell asking, how many penguins do we have on Phillip Island?
Great question, Mitchell. So, on Phillip Island, we have about 32,000 penguins, so just a couple. We have been really lucky to be able to remove foxes off our island, as well as some houses that were right in the middle of penguin habitat, which is basically just up the hill up there. And because of that, our penguin numbers went from about, went from about 12,000 in the 80s and looking to go locally extinct, which means we'd have no more on the island, to having 32,000 now, and that's been stable for the last few years. So that's really, really excellent, and that's again was a project supported by the Penguin Foundation as well. So and of that, so Phillip Island, we've got this kind of like little corner on the island here, and so you may hear about the knobbies, which is like right at this bottom here, and we right here are just a bit further up here. So we're right at the edge of the colony, and it goes all around that corner. And we, around the parade on our little corner, we've probably got about 10% of the penguins. So even though we somehow managed to get over 4,000 some nights in summer, we do not have 4,000 that live right here. So let's go back to my other camera. And other camera, press the button. And that is why we get so many penguins crossing down here. I just want to see if there's any groups there. No. Because of this little hill here. So all of these penguins that cross this part of the beach, giving us a beautiful viewing we have tonight. Then they go up this hill, they cross the road up the top here, so they can go to their homes in that old estate there. So I was always, when I first started working here and we got like 4,000, like, how did we get over 4,000 penguins tonight when I've been told we have, only 10% of them living here? And my math says that's less than 4,000. Ooh, what? Oh my gosh. What? No, stop it. My camera can't move fast enough, but that looked like a predator. Did you see that, Rach?
No, I didn't.
Where'd you go? Sorry, guys. This is too interesting. I'm suddenly do not... That was... I'm going to have to look back at the footage later.
I just saw.
It definitely looked like a raptor, which is our lazy way of saying bird of prey. Let's go back to the front because I'm clearly not going to be able to find you again. Which is odd. We don't usually get any birds of prey up at night because they should have all gone back to bed. So that was really, really cool. I'm so upset that I didn't get to see a better look at it, but wow, look at it.
Yeah,
so Rach is watching a little bit of a replay. Oh, I'm going to be replaying that a million times tonight, trying to figure out what it is, because I know, kind of possibly owl shaped.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kaylee Kimberly was saying that. Possibly
Yeah.
a barn owl.
We don't. Most of the owls in Australia are way too small to take a penguin. So even if it is an owl, I wouldn't worry just yet because ours are quite little. But there is one species of owl, the powerful owl, and that's huge. Like, that's a huge penguin. A huge penguin. It's a huge species of owl, and I believe that could take a penguin. I don't know if they're known for doing it. I haven't ever heard a story of it, but I imagine they would. But I'm just thinking, could that have been big enough to be a powerful owl? I don't know if it's easy to tell from that quick little glimpse of it. I used to always had been told that there were no powerful owls on the island, but recently I think we've had a family or a couple move in because I have heard a couple of stories in the last year or so of powerful owl sightings on the island.
I didn't know
heard that?
Yes.
I'll have to check. I will come back to you about that because I'm really interested about what other things we've got around here. Let's not move to the highway camera because we've got a raft coming on in. So put in your guesses of what you think it is. I wonder if it's even possible to get close to a definitive answer. Oh, Rachel's telling me it's time up. Okay, tell me what you think that bird was, and I'm going to be really upset if I've made a fuss and someone's like, it's a seagull, you dumbo. Because I could totally see that happening.
Doesn't look like a seagull.
Doesn't look like a seagull. Very reassuring, Rachel, because I'm having one of those days where my brain isn't working at its full capacity. It's a bit slow and a bit funky today, so I'm hoping I haven't made up any weird stories tonight.
We'll have to replay it.
We definitely will have to replay it. Rach, do we have any more questions before I even consider leaving tonight?
We do. We have Beverly Penny asking if those shell greeters are heading out tonight to shell greets. Don't they have to go out to fish in the day? Like, why are they not out in the water in the day?
That is a very good question. So the shell gritters, they're on land until they give birth is wrong, until they lay their egg. So we always want to use the wrong terms with penguins, don't you? Until they give birth, they're pregnant, not quite. So they're not going to the water. They are literally just going to the sand to eat and pick up little tiny bits of shell. So they might stay out there for a couple of hours eating bits of shell, or they might just go out for one quick trip and then go back home. But they're definitely not going to the water. They're not going to eat any fish. They're going to stay on land until they've laid those eggs, and then until their partner comes home to relieve them of duty. Because once the eggs have been laid, they can't be left alone because they cannot thermoregulate themselves. So they can't keep themselves warm enough to survive. So they need to have one parent with them at all times. So the mum penguin will shell grit for, up to 5 days. She will lay her eggs, and then dad penguin will come home, and then mum can finally go get some food because she's probably starving after not eating for that long. So unfortunately, she does have to just suffer, and she does have to rely on dad penguin actually being an honest penguin and coming home and letting her get some food. One thing that I recently learned, which I think is fascinating and terrible all at the same time, is there's always one slightly more selfish penguin in the couple. So there's one penguin who's like, I'm gonna come home quickly to feed my babies and go straight back out and not let the partner go back out and get some food. They take more of the time for themselves to eat, which is really selfish because they don't feed their partner. They take their own food for themselves. They feed their babies, and that's it. Like, I'm still just desperately hoping a bandicoot's going to show up for me, but I think I'm really pushing my luck here tonight. Oh, it looks more shell graders coming down the hill. Oh, we've got sort of an online platform that Paula, our researcher, she always gives us the updates on what's happening in the colony, in the boxes. So I checked that today, hoping that she'd tell us that she's seen this many eggs and this many chicks, but not yet. So hopefully we'll get that update very, very soon. But I think I might leave... Oh, no, one more question. I can't help myself. One more.
We have 10-year-old Chloe,
Hi, Chloe
asking, how many burrows do we have in the colony?
How many burrows do we have? All right, that is a very good question. So, okay, I did say we have 32,000 penguins. That's not fully correct. It's not fully wrong either. We have 32,000 breeding adults. So, because it takes them until about 2 to 3 to start breeding, it means we're going to have actually they've all just stopped right here. Very nice. We're going to have more penguins actually around than that, but we're only counting the breeding ones just for the sake of consistency. So we would have about 16,000 burrows because, 32,000 and half of that, because the male and female are going to share, 16,000, and then add on however many random boxes you think for all the juveniles who are house swapping. So that is the extent of an answer I can give you because I don't know. We don't count, at least as far as I know, we don't go and count empty burrows. We just, like, when we're doing our sort of population count, we do like these big transects, which are these great big long lines across different sections of the island. It's the same section each time, and we count how many occupied burrows are along those transects, do some complicated math to get our sort of estimated number of how many penguins are on the island, while also checking out for any new areas or if they've moved further than our previous transects as well. So I'm not too sure. What are you giggling at?
As of the comments.
Are you people picking on me?
No. It's like some of them were saying no sign of Romeo tonight.
Oh, yes, our cheeky penguin. That's
Yeah.
right. Beautiful. No, I don't see him either. Maybe his girlfriend finally came home and she's like, you can sit with the eggs for now. I'm going to get some food. All right. I think we will have to say goodnight here. Leave some penguin stuff for tomorrow night. Rach,
Yeah.
come on in. Say goodbye to our adoring fans. And we'll give off, of course, our usual goodbye in the language of the penguins, our signature huck off. Bye, guys.
Bye.